Hello, welcome back to Procedural LIVENODING. In this episode, we're gonna take a look at the breakdown of how I created this kind of like a dried instant noodles. This is actually pretty simple. I'm rendering this at the moment using cycles, and with cycles with a single objects, we can easily randomize using random per island and color ramp, and that's just the basic shader. And how I created this is simply by using geometry nodes modifier. I basically have this 4 different curve, which is currently hidden. Where is it? Yeah, it's over there. I created this curve simply by doodling some random grease pencil, and I simply applying it into this kind of grid box that I created using array. So array in XYZ, so I can still make changes and it's gonna update. So from that array, I simply instance the curve for each point of the box. There's a better way to do this, of course, to use geometry nodes without using array. This is using Blender 3.0. But anyway, I subdivide it. If I didn't subdivide, it's just we get like some kind of grid like this. But I subdivide it so it looks a little bit more tight. And geometry nodes is looking something like this. The funky stuff that's happening here is just these random rotations and snap to 90 degrees. So this is actually the interesting part. The rest of them is just basic. You see here the rotations, it's being generated on the fly, so it's just 90 degrees rotations. I think yeah, that's pretty much it. The rest of them is just instancing the curve, and then I'm using star just to create these objects. And if the object is flipped, if the face rotation is not good, we need to reverse, maybe reverse the curve here. I'm actually making it worse, so don't do reverse there. We don't need to use star, we can just use another circle. Make sure it's a curved primitive circle. So this is like just to bevel our object here. So this is what I mean, right? The curve, the resulting surface is reverse. So we need to use curve reverse, and then it's gonna reverse itself. The red dot there is just the curve things. Curve thing doesn't have end and start part, so you need to fix that manually. So anyway, the rest of them is just scaling it, scaling the instance, and then randomize the rotations in 90 degrees, snap it. We can randomize the curve. Okay, I also resample the curve, so okay, this to make it more efficient, because the curve can have different length. And just curve to mesh to bevel it into real mesh, and then you can render this out. So if we apply this, if you want to cover the end there, because this guy is already mesh objects now, you can just go to edit mode, hitting tab, and then you fill all the open parts of this mesh. Okay, so just select all and then tap F. I think it should fill all the holes, and then you can perhaps subdivide it and then render it using cycles, renderman, or Eevee. Okay, this might take a while, so I'm gonna open another Blender 2.92. Because once you have like a once you bake the geometry nodes, it's become like a normal mesh. Let's take a look at the bake one. So this one. Okay. So this is cycles again. Cycles render is really fast for this kind of thing. It's quite incredible. If we make this clockwise, we get like a rainbow color. Okay, just a fancy looking instant noodles. Might take a snapshot of this actually. Get out the camera, get rid of everything. Wait a few seconds. It's doing the rendering with the noise. If you don't like the noise, just enable denoising. So it has to re-render again. But in just like a few seconds, we're gonna get the complete render that's noise free. It's using GPU on this iMac M1, so it's not too bad. It's not realistic, it's very stylistic, but I quite like it. Now let's see if we use renderman. Let's see if I have renderman set up. Okay, renderman, I have Pixar Light, etc. This might take longer. Let's see. If I use IPR, okay, yeah, it's not bad. It's rendering. I forgot to change the shader, or it just doesn't work properly. Let's stop that. Yeah, it's quite heavy. What if we just actually try a Pixar shader? Pixar surface shader and render. Yeah, it's gonna take a while. Let's see. Oh, okay, this one is also still calculating fill hole. I have a feeling that our light we have too many light. Is this guy actually rendering properly? Oh yeah, this is using Pixar shader. There's a Pixar dome light. Yeah, I think it's doing the render. Sorry about the noise, it's from outside. I can use primary, specular. Usually I like to use glass, or single scatter is good, and but that's iridescence. That's my favorite. Let's see. Yeah, I think one of these doesn't work properly because I keep changing the shader. With the Pixar renderman, if the lighting doesn't work properly, it's better to start from fresh and then just reassign the texture. Or I just use a different one. You need to recalculate. Yeah, I think this is working better. It's recalculating the environment light projected into our instant noodles. Yeah, I think that's not bad, but sometimes I like to use the subsurface, but subsurface take quite a while in renderman to calculate, and you might need to denoise it. I'll make like a yellow color instant noodles. Yeah, I think the final result will look quite nice. With this subsurface, we can actually turn off some of this. We can actually zero out the gain, and this is just the subsurface. And we can also try using the 3-point light on top of this. Yep, I think it's a bit brighter, and yeah, maybe a little bit of gain here. Okay, maybe should be more yellow color. Yeah, probably too yellow. Desaturate. Yeah, not bad. But I like the cycles one also. File, save as. This one finished? No, still. So filling the hole is probably not a good idea in this mode. But let me try, actually. Let me try to demonstrate the grease pencil part. Because that's actually that's more interesting than just rendering the noodle. Okay, clean scene, there's nothing here. Grease pencil blank. Go to, you want to draw lines on this grid. So we're gonna switch to draw mode. Grease pencil is on, right click, increase the strength, the radius, and we want to draw it on the X and Y. So this is red and green. Turn on X and Y from the top view, so we can draw our noodle. You can draw this on any, like you can draw it like in any shape that you like just randomly drawing the noodle. I'm drawing it as a single frame stroke here, but I will separate it. So I go to edit mode very quickly. I can reduce and simplify the stroke using adaptive maybe. So I just simplify the stroke. Now it's very simple and very efficient. And then I can select the stroke, you know, like just selecting one and then Command L, right click, separate, which is P. So I can do the same. Command L, P, selected strokes. Same thing. Select, Command L, P, and now it's becoming separate objects. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't have this one. So we have 4 different strokes and they are grease pencil. If you are instancing using geometry nodes, don't use grease pencil. Convert them into Bezier curve. It's gonna be a lot more efficient like this. Okay, now they are converted. So we can hide our original grease pencil. Just move it into new collection. Tap M, name it GP, and hide it. And this is, the rest of them are curves. File, save as. So it's the noodle. This guy, I just move it into new collections, call it noodle. So we're gonna use noodle. Let's create a simple cube and create an array. That's the array in X directions. Create another array. This array is gonna be in the Y directions. and create another array. This is going to be in the Z directions. So this array will provide points for our geometry. So create geometry nodes, and the points are actually merged together, I believe. You can use this to generate curve if I'm not wrong. Switch to geometry nodes. What I mean is that if you convert mesh to curve, oops, this is Blender. This is 2.92, okay. Close this. Reopen Blender 93. Oh, Blender 3.0, sorry. Yeah, this is Blender 3.0. Let's save this again. We have mesh to curve. Yeah, this mesh to curve is useful. You can actually, after you do that, you can wireframe it. Anyway, don't worry about that. You need to have a curve primitive circle and curve curve to mesh. We are not doing this. We want to instance a bunch of curves. So instance from collection, we're gonna grab our noodle, turn off whole collections. Based on those points, we are creating the noodles. I don't know why it's slow. It shouldn't be because we are using curve. Actually, let's check this very quickly. This is grease pencil. This is the curve. Okay, the curve might have too much resolution. No, it's actually not. Well, let's get back to this. Don't know why it's a bit slow, but we have instance of curve on every box geometry there, and so I can randomize the rotation. And then snap. Attribute vector math, and this one's gonna be snap. This is gonna be vector. Snap it to 90 degrees. Rotation here, rotation there. Let's take a look at the spreadsheet. You see, we have this 90 degrees rotations. Randomize it in the vector. Yeah, something like this. And we have our instant noodles, kind of. This is slow because it's still thinking that it's a grease pencil. Okay, we need to use the GP. GP, this is actually the curve. That's why it's slow. Okay, now this is what I want. I got it wrong. So with the curve, the performance is gonna be a lot faster. And like I said, you want to simplify this before the geometry nodes, so you have something that's more complicated, like a noodle. Back to geometry nodes. This point instance is a bunch of curves, so we can use circle to convert this into mesh. And let's make this smaller, less resolution, like 12 or 8, 0.01. Yeah, so this is the noodles basically. You could do a little bit more, I think, with the randomizations. If you want, you can try another random. After the snap, you randomize it further. Don't replace, just add it. So this is even more random. And you can have chunk of noodles like this, all in different, with different seed. And the cool thing, of course, you can change the array. It's gonna look different. So you have like a instant noodle bar, right? So yeah, so that's basically the whole process. Be careful with grease pencil and curve. Grease pencil instancing will be slower, but the curve is a lot faster, just like you see here. Okay, and for the render, use cycles. It's faster than renderman. Renderman may give you more realistic result. However, cycles is a lot faster. Switch to shader mode. This one, geometry, random per island, single geometry. I can give you this setup. Try different color, different hue, clockwise. We have rainbow color, clockwise, counterclockwise. Now it's rendering using cycles, calculating, and there, I think, did I apply this properly? That's interesting. I'm not getting the color. It could be that because I don't have UV, but I don't need to have UV. So what did I forgot to do? Oh, okay, I know why. It's the geometry nodes. We need to apply it here. Material, assign. We need to be very specific because this is like quite complex objects. We need to reassign it manually. Or I believe we need to also apply it on our curve here. Okay, now it's actually working. Cool. So this is with the default light. If we add a proper light, you're gonna get a better result. All right, so there we go. That's the quick instant noodles creation using geometry nodes. Hopefully you find this useful and interesting. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.